What do you guys think is the #1 problem facing us as far as communications go? People are worried about encryption and stuff. I've done a video on what I call redneck ComSec. Mars bar, Coors Light, Skittles. We've got range. People will complain about that and trying to talk further. If we're out doing reconnaissance patrols, we're not going to be transmitting on the highest freaking wattage because we want to keep like a bubble of reach, right? We don't want to be talking to people way the hell out in the area that we don't want hearing what we're saying, or with the digital encryption, you know, picking up signal that, you know, hey, somebody's in that direction screwing around. We've got stuff breaking. I use the bow fangs as just throwaways, handed guys who actually invested in ammo and other things that are important, and they just haven't got the comm stuff figured out. All right, so here's a $15 radio. If you destroy it or lose it, no big deal. But I'm gonna throw out something that I think only people with experience can understand. My major complaint, fuck you, tree. My major complaint with comms is people not answering the damn radio. We see this in the military, we see it deployed. You know you're getting out, you did a comms check, everybody's stuff is working, but you're calling that one guy that you know should be able to hear you, should be able to talk to you. He's not answering, all right? So you're just wondering, what is going on? What is your problem? All right, we're gonna have to freaking move here. As soon as I start talking, the wind picks up, and we got a tree trying to make out with us. So that is my major complaint. Every single thing I've done around comms for 20 plus years is not being able to reach certain people. All right, so we've got the fun stuff we do out here, the training. We've got the SEER challenge. All right, when SEER challenge, we'll have like 12 to 14 people out here. Okay, so people complain about the radios we use. It's like, well, if you want to hand out 12 of your real radios and risk somebody destroying or losing those, because it does happen, by all means, I'm okay losing a $15 freaking Chinese radio, and I can just replace them by the bundle. But I've noticed hanging around with some people, they don't realize the importance of communication. We've got guys in trucks, on ATVs, we've got base stations. There's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of frequencies used, there's a lot of different people talking, and there's always at least one dude where it's like, I can never reach that mother on the radio. It's impossible. And then I would observe certain individuals and I would see they got a bow fang. I offer to give them the in-ear thing, I offer to give them a freaking hand mic, and they just got the regular radio and it's like in a shirt pocket or something. Okay, fine. They don't want to lose it, I understand. But then they hop on an ATV and they're driving around out in the AO doing their thing, and I cannot reach them. And it's because they're driving around on a motorized vehicle. They don't hear a damn thing that's coming out of their pocket. So I would counsel them, hey dude, you've got to be monitoring your radio all the time. Maybe this comes from my days as a private in the infantry. As soon as I showed up to Baghdad, they handed me a freaking Singar's radio, the big bulky heavy one. And my squad leader was like, you will have that hand mic clipped in the old Kevlar chin strap. And he's like, you will not miss a comms window. If anybody's calling, if you miss that, you are dead. And I'm like, shit. Luckily, I was more afraid of my squad leader than I was of Baghdad at the time. So maybe it's that. Maybe I was just conditioned to knowing that comms is important and you've got to be monitoring comms. So I know people who haven't done this stuff, like in the military scenario, at a homestead, you're at a talk, or you set up an OP, somebody's gonna have their ear on the radio all the time. Because you never know when you might get some important sit rep that could be life-threatening or life-saving. Your radio's laying off to the side because you're on your back laying in the shade and you miss that call. I've had plenty of dudes I try to call and it's like, I really need to talk to them and I just can't reach them. And I'm like, is anybody near so-and-so? Negative, he's out there on the quad. Like, all right, well, I might as well just count that guy as not even being there. Everybody needs to take a time out and think about communications. Okay, so we realize after a firefight or your battle drill training, you know you got to call up a sit rep, you know, maybe you got a tick report, a lace report. When you're hitting checkpoints, you're calling those up. But what happens between all of that stuff? You've still got to be monitoring that. All right, so there's just a couple things I want to throw up that might help out some people. But that's the first thing. The number one rule is everybody needs to take comms more seriously, and everybody needs to be, just like when I teach guys to walk through the wood line, we are always thumbing our safety, you know, because we've got stuff that could click our safety off. We've got all the other weapon safety rules that we're following, and they're all kind of layers of safety. But one of the major ones is just walking through rough terrain. You're thumbing that safety and you're double checking it. Yep, weapons on safe. Okay, I like to keep my thumb there. So I think people need to take a break and approach comms the same way. You've got to be listening to this thing. You've got to be paying attention to it, and everybody needs to beat each other up on it. Okay, so there's a couple things I do. Well, we've got these lapel mics or hand mics. You can keep this right here. With this Alance, I can jack up the freaking mic gain, so even if I'm sitting on my quad and it's running, or I got a running truck next to me, or I got people talking around me, this will blare out loud as hell. That's one thing to do. You can get the old school hand mics, you can get adapters, you can clip them onto a headset so it's right in your ear. A lot of guys like to use these, all right? So these are some basic sword-in headphones. They're the kind of the cool guy ones. I do have some Peltors, but I don't really use those anymore. When I'm on my ATV, I have these on, and I've made it a habit. You guys saw in the last Seer Challenge, I had the Peltors on. But I made it a habit that this is my mounted comm system. Before I step on the ATV, I've got this sitting right there where I start the thing, so I don't forget them. So I throw them on, turn them on. It's part of my PCIs to make sure I've got extra batteries for it. I can be driving around, I will hear clear as day somebody call me, and I will hear what they say. I don't have to stop. Oh, what was that? Dig out my friggin' radio, look for it. Hey, say again. I mean, guys, you know, people with experience, you understand this. We can't stand calling somebody and just, you know, repeat, say again, like all the time. It's like, dude, get your head out of your ass and get your radio next to your head. But then I get either my super stealthy earbud in there. The Alance has a Bluetooth freaking headset that works pretty well. Or if I'm just out and about, you know, just kind of screwing around, I just make sure the volume is all the way up on this. Okay, so no matter what I'm doing in the wood line, no matter what's going on, we could be in a freaking hailstorm, freaking, you know, hurricane gust winds, I will hear this thing going off. Why? Because I've mounted it right here. So those are my mechanisms. And every dude I've worked with that has had problems with this, okay, you need a radio. Here's this cheap throwaway. We've got a lapel mic, we've got headsets, we've got adapters to where I can hand them the Peltors that'll adapt to a Baofeng. And I'm like, okay, now, even if it's a veteran and he's been to combat and all that, and he should know this stuff, I still give him a friggin' brief. Because I'm like, dude, I'm giving you this because we need to be able to talk, all right? We could be, you know, we're in 4,000 plus freaking acres. We're going to be separated 100%. There will be breaks in contact. We need to be able to talk to each other at a moment's notice. I don't care if you're climbing a hill in low gear, you know, at a 45-degree incline. You got to be able to at least hear that I'm calling you. If not, we're going to have some freaking problems. And they're like, yep, got it. Okay, so what kind of setup can I give you that makes it comfortable? And I'll show them all the stuff I got. This just goes back to what should be the #1 rule. Your weapon, you are a weapon first. Your weapon is important. Comms are just as important, all right? I don't think everybody needs to be super nerdy about the stuff to be able to program stuff and work keys and everything. But you've got to at least be able to appreciate being able to talk to your guys. We've got to cut out this calling people and not getting answers. That's ridiculous. On that note, most of you guys are talking on a group network. So let's say you're out in the field and you hear somebody calling another dude and they're just not answering. All right. A lot of shit I've heard and outside the military world is, hey, yeah, he's away, or he's busy, or yeah, I saw him rolling around. All right. Well, that doesn't help. Okay. So what you can do, if you hear somebody being hailed and they're not answering, you are hearing it, so you should answer. Hey, you know, maybe he's out of range. Maybe I can help. Or he's standing right next to me. What do you need? So, you know, you should try to facilitate that communication and say, you know, hey man, maybe I can relay for you. Because it is possible you get out of range. Again, we're talking on limited wattage because we're not trying to talk to freaking everybody and their mom. And so maybe we are in an area where that dude ain't hearing you. All right, so that's just something for other guys to think about. You know, if you hear somebody being called nonstop, you know, if you see him over there smoking in the bush or taking a piss, it's like, hey, somebody's calling you, dude. Where the fuck's your radio? You know, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of a team effort here. Take comm seriously, right? The weapon is cool, the gear and all this shit's cool, battle drills and stuff, but if you can't talk to people, man, you're bumming. You got to be able to talk to people. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you on the next one. Out.